Welcome back to Backward Point. This is your co-host Bashar, and joining me from Pakistan is my co-host and brother.
Nazar Sayed reporting for duty.
This is going to be a Ashes review of the first Test match that just concluded a few days ago at Edgbaston. Australia beat England by 2 wickets in perhaps one of the most thrilling Test matches I've seen. Probably since that match against New Zealand and England, was it
Yeah, it was
in
England. Yep.
New Zealand? So I mean,
No, it
Test
was
cricket
in England.
it was in New Zealand. I'm pretty sure. But Test cricket, as we know, was spoken as a dying format. But these sort of Test matches bring the game back alive, and it reminds us why Test match is such an incredible format. It's such a you can draw parables from Test match to real life where you're showing up day in day out. There's different results happening. You're trying your best. There's a swing of emotions. There's a swing of turn of events, and it all led to day 5 of the Ashes, where we saw Pat Cummins and Nathan Lyon take Australia across the line. Um, a lot of things to discuss in this Test match, but what was your initial review of what happened?
Man, I hear a lot of people talk about how Test match cricket is gonna die, and there is definitely a conversation to be had about how to expand Test match cricket so that quality sides can keep playing Test match cricket. But the death of Test match cricket, I don't think is going to happen. It's because of matches like these, because of series like the Ashes. It's because of countries like the Big Seven, Big Eight who play Test match cricket, and the quality of Test match cricket that is being played currently is on par for some of the best matches that we've ever seen in the history of the game. This Edgbaston Test match no was not dissimilar to that. It was just one of those Test matches where you didn't know which way the game was going. It was a very interesting fourth day, very interesting fifth day, even though it rained on the fourth and rained on the fifth as well. It's just one of those feelings you get where like you actually feel like the world is standing still and paying attention to this game, because I was actually out and about while the last session was going on. We actually watched the Flash, non-recommendable movie, but besides the part, we come out of the theater and we're in like a lobby area in Nuplex in Karachi, and we see like all these guys in the like they're at the food court. There's a TV there. All these people are like around the TV and they're watching Test match cricket. It's the last session, 10 runs to go. Pat Cummins on strike, and I stood there still as well, because I was like, this is what it's all about, right? This is exactly what Test match cricket is trying to prove. It's a 5-day journey. It's a war. It's a grind. You're there in the cold, the wind, the rain, everything. And it comes down to the last wicket, man. So, kudos to this match. Kudos to the series. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think this match has set up perfectly for the second Test match at Lords. But before we get to Lords, I think let's go before the match even started. The first Test, we saw Jack Leach get injured, had a lower back injury against Ireland, and Ben Stokes literally slid into Moeen Ali's DMs, asking him to come back out of Test match retirement so he can play this Ashes series, and Moeen Ali obliged. But I think that was, in hindsight, not the best call, even though I think Ben Stokes mentioned where Moeen Ali sort of fit the whole template of playing BazBall cricket with Moeen Ali, his batting, his bowling, just an all-around great player. However, Test match cricket is a bit different. You need somebody who has had overs under their belt, who has played red ball cricket in the past. And Moeen Ali was just playing the IPL, he was just playing the Vitality Blast, so not really in tune with red ball cricket. And we saw him come back into the team, be very expensive with the ball when he was bowling. Also caught up a finger injury from bowling so many overs. At the same time, not being as consistent with his lines, with his lengths. He did get some breakthroughs for England, but just he didn't look up to par.
His length was horrible. Like, I didn't understand what he was doing. So many short balls. He was just being whipped all over the ground. Every now and then he'd bowl in the right areas and it would break, and you'd see the ball turn and you'd be like, yes, just bowl there. He would also be successful in a few accounts where the ball, he would pitch it in the right areas, middle leg, it's breaking through off. There's slip there, Joe Root, safe pair of hands. You can always expect him to catch those. Moeen Ali was sort of like the dynamic factor, the wild card even, and Ben Stokes and company did take a risk on him. For a long period, it kind of paid off. He was successful in the first innings. I think he took 3 in the first innings and then 2 in the second, I believe, or something like that. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna open up the chat here. Moeen Ali took 2 in the first innings, but he gave away 147 runs, and in the second innings, he was kind of like nowhere to be seen. He took a 1 wicket, gave away 57 runs at an average of 4 and over. This is better. We expect better from Moeen Ali when it comes to Test match cricket. He's a star. He's a class batsman. He's a great all rounder. It's just I don't think Ben Stokes was hoping this from him when he asked him back.
Yeah, especially if you could, because he's competing against Nathan Lyon, who is a world class off spinner in world cricket right now. I think he's up there with Ashwin. He has 495 Test wickets and 120 odd Test matches. So I think that was sort of a difference in the team. At the same time, Australia did not have Mitchell Starc in their playing 11, which was also sort of a shocking factor for me because Australia went with bringing back Josh Hazelwood. They went back with pursuing with Scott Boland in their playing 11. So those two changes in the playing 11 were a bit shocking for me. But the first ball of the Ashes, because there was a lot of discussion of if England will continue to play with the style that they have played in the last 12 Test matches. The first ball of the Ashes, Pat Cummins against Zach Crawley, and he creams it for 4 on the offside, which is such a contrasting start from the first ball of the last Ashes, where Mitchell Starc clean bowled Rory Burns on the first ball, and the whole crowd just erupted. So the first ball of the Ashes, I think, is always an indicator of where the series is going to go, what brand of cricket that the other team is going to play, and just that first ball from Zach Crawley, everybody knew that this is the style of the play that they're going to play. This is what we're going to get from England in this Ashes Test series.
Yeah, the first ball was definitely an indicator of how England was going to play. Just because it was the Ashes, just because of the iconic nature of the series, they were not going to shy away from their natural game that they've been playing for the past couple of years. We should definitely have a conversation about how successful BazBall was in this game and how successful it continues to be. There's definitely a conversation on if BazBall is single-handedly saving Test cricket, even if this series did not, or this match, I should say, did not go their way, because we still have 4 games left, and we know with the Ashes it goes down to the wire because of the conditions and everything. But what do you think? Do you think BazBall was the factor that hurt England in this game?
If I'm being honest with you, I think the only reason why we got a result of this match is because BazBall was there. If there was no BazBall, I don't think any logical, sane captain will declare the first innings at 393 for 8 when they have Joe Root, a player playing at 100, over 100, just so they can get some early wickets at the end of the first day against Australia. So,
Which they did.
Yeah, they got David Warner out, I think, eventually. Stuart Broad and David Warner have that relationship where Warner is Broad's bunny, and but just coming back to BazBall, I think if there was no BazBall, we would not get a result because of the run rate that England played in this match. The first innings they scored at over 5 and over. The second innings they scored at over 4.4 and over. So if they had played slowly, if they had just played normal Test cricket, I don't think this was going to go for a result, because we also lost some overs to rain. So I think BazBall was a deciding factor in getting a result. At the same time, I think you can say maybe that it was one of the reasons why England lost the match, because some rash shots by their players, if they had played like proper Test match cricket, maybe they could have scored some more runs. But again, at what rate are they scoring those runs? This might have just gone towards a draw. But England have made their mind. They want to play BazBall the way that they've been playing the last year and a half, and that's where they want to take this England cricket team and Ben Stokes has that mentality of entertaining people and going for results. So I think there's something wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if they let Joe Root cook for a few more overs in the first innings, they have 40, 50 odd runs more. This is a whole different game because when Pat Cummins comes into the bat in the fourth innings, he needs 72 runs to win, right? And if you add a 40, 50 on top of that, 120 with 7 wickets down, that's a tough ask for any team. There's also, I feel like, a psychological pressure when you pass the 300 mark barrier for runs. There's definitely a way to navigate your innings. 280 seems more attainable than 320 does, or 290 seems more attainable than even 310 does, even though it's only 15, 20 run difference there. I feel like it was all psychological. Also, I know eventually we're going to talk about the Ben Stokes drop catch, which I feel like was a turning point. Before that, I feel like England had them in the bag. Stuart Broad keeps reminding us why he is one of the greatest test bowlers of all time, top 5 of all time easily. One thing that I was a little bit worried about, which I wanted to discuss with you, was your boy Jimmy Anderson was a little bit of a no-show. Any concerns about that you have? I mean, he seemed off color.
Jimmy Anderson was coming back from a niggle. He picked up an injury playing one of the county games, I think in his cough. So he didn't have much overs under his belt coming into the test match. But again, I think England wanted to go with their best 3 bowlers, which they thought were Robinson, Broad, and Anderson. So I think even when the test match was going, you could have seen that the bad ball percentages from Anderson were pretty high. He wasn't as effective with the new ball. Actually, the first innings, they didn't even give him the new ball. It was shared by Robinson and Broad. So I guess that shows how much confidence that Ben Stokes had in Anderson. And maybe he saw that leading up to this match, Anderson was not in full rhythm. But no point of concerns here. I think given how much of a world-class bowler he is, he will come back. I know his age is not up to his side anymore. He's over 40 years old. But again, for him to be playing test match cricket at this age, with the consistency and grit that he is showing, I think that's commendable. But again, even in the last session of this match, we saw Ben Stokes keep giving the ball to Robinson and Broad, where I thought maybe you could have given it to your most experienced, your highest wicket taker in test match cricket to maybe see if something else happens. But yeah, that's my thought. I think Anderson, if he keeps playing the next test match, it's at Lord. He loves playing at Lords. That could.
So
be
you don't bench Anderson for the next test match, basically. That's what you're saying.
Man, it's a tough call because I did feel like England was lacking a bit of pace, and they do have Mark Wood on the bench. At the same time, if they think that they need someone who can extend their batting lineup, they also have Chris Wilkes, who has a terrific record playing in England, as well as playing at Lords. So I think it's going to be a tough call, but I think the more important decision will be if Moeen Ali continues to play with his finger injury and then with his form that he has. They do have other great players in county just waiting to be called up, like Liam Dawson, who could be just like a like-for-like replacement for Jack Leach. But yeah, just looking forward to see where Ben Stokes takes this England team forward with these decisions of playing 11s that are to come. But I wanted to come out to Joe Root in the first innings and just see a few of the shots he played. He's discovered this new shot, which is not like a lap, not a scoop, but it's a reverse scoop over the slips. And he is playing this shot against the likes of Josh Hazelwood and Pat Cummins. Pat Cummins, who's currently the number 1 bowler in the world, and for him to just nonchalantly switch his bat, carve it over the slips, and almost execute this shot to 100% accuracy. He has yet to be, given his wicket for this shot. I just think it's terrific. I think Joe Root is a classical test match proper technique batsman, and for him to change his game, to reverse sweep somebody, play these lap shots, I think that's insane for me.
I mean, the more you praise Joe Root, the less it actually is for his presence in the game of Test cricket and the game of cricket in general. I genuinely think he's one of the best Test cricket batsmen that we've seen in a very, very long time. He keeps on time and time again proving why he is in the Fab Four. Like there's no questioning him. He's one of the best batsmen to play. He's reliable. He's gritty. He will he will get you through those lazy overs where you're throwing your wickets, and he'll give you those essential runs at a good economy, at a good average, at a good strike rate. The paddle sweep shot you're talking about is just iconic at this point, with the ease that he plays it with, the comfort that he has, the control that he has to these shots. He knows where the ball should go. He deposits the ball there. It's just one of those things where he is my box office draw from when I'm watching England games. He is the reason that I am watching England play the way he does. Ben Stokes is great. Jimmy Anderson is the greatest of all time. Stuart Broad is in the conversation of the top 5 best test bowlers of all time. But Joe Root, the type of magnanimous player that he is, the type of cricket he's playing, it's attractive, and young people are following it. Because I was just at the Nets a couple of days ago, and it was, I think, day 3 or day 4 of the Ashes, and people were just talking about how amazing it is to see Joe Root play. Usman Khawaja also scored a century in this game, and he was also the player of the match. Definitely true. But if the tides had turned the other way, I feel like you would have seen Joe Root become the player of the match just because of how amazing his innings was. It basically brought England back into the game, and it gave them a sturdy total to defend against in the first innings. At the same time, Usman Khawaja, I also want to speak about. I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Pakistani
His
bowler.
century, bro. He's our man. His century in the first innings, and then his 65, gritty 65 in the second innings was the game changer. Joe Root didn't really show up in the second innings as he wanted to, but that's the game of cricket, man. It's brutal. And Usman Khawaja, props to him. He's turning into one of the greatest openers that Australia has seen. He's ultra reliable, dependable. He goes on strike. He actually makes Warner look like he's old, which is funny to see. It's having a similar left-handed batsman opening up for Australia, and then one is like on a roll, and David Warner is like just on the tail end of his career, the test cricket. It just shows the age difference, shows how further cricket has gone from the time of Warner to now Usman Khawaja, who's just dominating this game, by the way. It's great to see. It's great to see.
Usman Khawaja looked like he was a man on a mission in this match because he was averaging only 18 before this test match in England. So he had scored runs all over the world, but he has yet to prove his mantle in test match cricket in England. So that century he scored in the first innings was the first 100 he has ever scored in England. So again, you could see how much it meant to him with his celebration. Scored a magnificent 141, and then to come back in the second innings to score 65 more runs. He batted actually every single day of this test match, which I think was an Australian record of its own, or I think a test match record. But my question is, sometimes I think if Usman Khawaja had not moved to Australia and if he had just stayed in Pakistan, do you think he would have still gone on to achieve the things that he did? Considering how the Pakistani cricketing system is, like, do you think he would still thrive in Pakistan?
No, he would have been lost. Just like the PCB, the system lost Imran Tahir. They would have lost to Usman Khawaja, because the way that the system is set up, I don't want to, dig at Imam ul Haq, but Imam ul Haq, the way he came into the team is quite noticeable. That being said, he is one of the best openers Pakistan has ever had, no doubt. But, the opportunities that get wasted to promote an Imam ul Haq, to promote an Azam Khan, it's sad because there are other great cricketers that deserve that chance, that don't get that chance because of opportunities taken away. Usman Khawaja would have been a footnote in Pakistani cricket history, and in Australian cricket, he will be celebrated for years to come. So I don't think that comparison is even close, and I think it's good for Usman, man. Like he looks happy. He's doing great in Australian cricket. Australian cricket is the highest standard of cricket in the world, without a doubt. I think we both can agree on that. And he's the best of the best right now. So props to him, man.
Yeah, I'm so happy to see success. He's also at the tail end of his career. I'm not sure if he will be able to play the next Ashes. But for me to see him score runs in England in high pressure, even though he has some part of him being Pakistani. I think that makes me really proud. But I think you'll always see
Yeah.
Pakistanis flourish outside of Pakistan because the Pakistani system is just not designed to help thrive and help you succeed. So that's why when we see players like Babar and Rizwan and Imam and Fakhr come up and score runs and become world class players, that just makes it even more special because they're
I mean,
exceptions.
Pakistan, exactly. And Pakistani history is chock full of instances where Imran Khan saw a young Inzamam ul Haq playing in the nets and he was like, yo, I'm choosing you for the World Cup squad. Or,
Javed
Wasim
Mirdad
Akram was
saw Wasim
bowling.
Akram.
Yeah, Javed saw Wasim Akram. He was like, yo, bowling in the nets. And he's like, yo, you're going to bowl for back. Like, these are amazing, legendary, mythical stories. But that's not how the system works. You'll never hear that in England. You won't be like, yo, one day Michael Vaughan saw Joe Root practicing in the nets. And he's like, this kid is going to be the best batsman in India England has ever proved. No, there's a system. Alistair Cook still plays in county because the system is so strong that allows him to keep playing in county, right? None of these players can play anywhere else. Like Azhar Ali goes to play county in England because the system here does not support him financially or even just merit wise. So there's a lot to be said about the system of Pakistan, and that's a whole different podcast, I believe. But I'm happy for my man Usman. I'm happy for my man Moeen Ali too, man. Like coming out of retirement, being called by the skipper, that's an honor among itself. He might have not had the best test match, but that being said, he's a winner. He's a champion. He'll come back stronger, man.
Australia chasing 281 in the fourth innings. I think we did a poll on our Instagram story, and a lot of people, I would say 65% people said that Australia is still favorites to win this match. I always feel like the fourth innings chase is always tough regardless of what the score is. And that's why I had my money on England to defend this score. And there was a moment where you could have seen that Australia was going to lose this match. They had lost 8 wickets. They needed 54 runs for England for 2 wickets to win, with Pat Cummins and Nathan Lyon batting. And just that last session of that test match, I had my hands on my head, my feet were cold, and I just didn't know what's going to happen, where this match is going to go. Every single ball was being cheered, and England's crowd, there's something to be said about those people. They're truly the 12th man of this England side, and the way they cheer their team on, the way they mock the Australian players when they're fielding on the boundary. They have these songs, the Barmy Army, and I think that was just for me the highlight of this match. I think one of the highlights of any test match this year that's happened yet.
Yeah, man, the Barmy Army is a delight in itself. Like, shout out to those people. Those fans are insane. They love their cricket. They love supporting Team England, and their chants are just hilarious. Like, one of them was Nathan Lyon was fielding, I think, at like third man or something, and these guys were just chanting, "You're just a shit, Moeen Ali." I thought that was hilarious.
One of them
There's
for
like a lot
Steve
of those.
Smith was that we saw you crying on the telly.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like there's no comparison. They get you where it hurts, and props to them, man. That's how it should be. That's why home advantage is so important. It kind of makes me sad that you know really exceptional teams came and went in Pakistan, and the Pakistani crowd didn't really support their Pakistani team as much as well as they should have. But you can always look at the English crowd, even the Australian crowd. There was a big chunk of the Australian crowd there. I don't know if you noticed that in the stands as well, which were counter chanting as well and supporting their boys. So it's just fun. That banter is fun to watch.
I have a
And
theory of why that's such, where the reason why we see so large crowds in test matches in England and New Zealand, South Africa, Australia. You see people come to test matches. They're just sitting there all day. They're on these grass fields, just having a picnic, having a ball. The reason why I don't think that's possible in Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka is because the people of these parts of the world, they need to, like, they're not as free mentally, financially, to sort of leave 8 hours in their day, come to a test match, watch peacefully. I think you need to be at a certain level on the Maslow's hierarchy of needs in order to even just go to a test match and enjoy it. Like when you have basic issues like financial issues, economic turmoil, no electricity, no gas, crazy traffic, just human security is in
Cricket
danger.
is the last thing that you want to do. I
Exactly.
noticed that, which sucks because these countries that you mentioned love their cricket. Sri Lankan cricket has had so many wonderful moments in the past 20-25 years. Produced some of the best cricketers in the world. Kumar Sangakkara, who's currently commentating in the Ashes, one of the best Test players of all time. He's easily in my top 15, top 11. If I ever had to make a squad or a team, so it's sad, but at the same time, supporting your team, supporting your players means supporting your economy in a way that these teams keep coming back, and it makes cricket profitable in your country. So you gotta send a message sometimes to the other side of cricket to let them know that, hey, you know what, you can take a lot of things away from us, but our passion remains. And I would love to see that from the Pakistani crowd. I would have loved to see that in the Asia Cup, but how many people are gonna go see Pakistan versus Nepal, man? So
Yo, I reckon it's gonna be sold out. Trust me.
really, Pakistan versus
Yeah.
Nepal? I doubt it. I doubt it.
So it's just coming back to the last session again. Pat Cummins, Nathan Lyon, batting, and then Broad and Ollie Robinson going after the Australian batsman. Crazy field settings. Just no slip, all leg side field, bowling short stuff. And there came a moment where there was Nathan Lyon batting, Stuart Broad bowling. Nathan Lyon hits it to Ben Stokes. He tries to repeat the catch he took in the 2019 World Cup against South Africa at the Oval, where he just snatched it one hand on the back of his going backwards. For a moment, it looked like the ball did stuck in his hands, but it didn't. He dropped it, and ultimately, that you could say was one of the reasons why England had lost the match. Almost a full circle moment for Nathan Lyon, because he was at the receiving end of 2019 and Headingley, where he had missed a simple run out to get Jack Leach out on the last wicket, and for him to come back, scored this magnificent partnership with Pat Cummins, who Ben Stokes hit the winning runs to in 2019. Almost a full circle moment, and so many commonalities in this match going back to the 2005 Edgbaston Test match, which was one of the most iconic Test matches of all time, one of the most iconic Test matches in Ashes history. So that for me was just like, this is such an incredible game. Just twists and turns, going one way here, swinging one way here. But yeah, just so gripping, and to see Pat Cummins hit the winning runs and take Australia across the line was amazing to see.
We haven't yet talked about how amazing that innings from Pat Cummins was, man. That was the captain's knock. That was a man on a mission. He was not hearing anything else. Barmy Army on one side, Pat Cummins on the other. It was just amazing to see this person just go at it full circle. It's the type of knock that you expect from a captain. Is Pat Cummins an all-rounder, or was it just like a blinder tail-ender knock?
Well, he averages 16 in Test matches. He also has 250s. So I think I wouldn't say he's a proper all-rounder, but he at the same time
He can bat.
not a dummy with a bat. Yes.
Yeah, Yasir Shah had a century, bro, in Australia. So what are you gonna
In
talk about?
Adelaide, pink ball test
And
against Hazelwood Cummins.
was Stark in that game as well? I
I
forget.
think so.
Oh my god, the greatest centuries of all time goes down. But yeah, like Pat Cummins is playing a blinder out there. The one thing I also didn't understand, there's a lot of questions on Ben Stokes' captaincy, why they waited so long to take the new ball, why they kept going for Joe Root. A lot of those questions.
Ultimately, when they take the new ball, the ball started coming off on the bat a lot quicker. It flew off the bat. The runs came on more early. So I think that was one of the reasons why he delayed taking the new ball. Also, I think with these flat pitches, there's no assistance to the bowlers on these pitches. I think that's something to talk about as well, because they're like so flat.
When
they're
you have
dead pitches.
Stuart Broad, and Jimmy Anderson, those are class act bowlers, and they will find a way to make the ball move. I keep going back. Sometimes it haunts me in the dreams, but the Jimmy Anderson bowled to Mohammad Rizwan in Karachi. Like, are we
But
gonna talk
that was
about that?
reversing though.
Exactly my point. So, like, there are ways to make the ball move around. The new ball with the seam up, it can go anywhere. It doesn't have to be swinging in the air. The seam itself is powerful enough to make the ball move. I guess the rationale that Ben Stokes had was that, hey, maybe if we take the new ball, we'll probably get battered around, and it's going to be hard for our fielders to stop the ball because the ball is going to be rock hard and it's going to be moving around a lot quicker. Sure. At the same time, going still with Joe Root, I don't know, because Joe Root got smashed. He took that great catch and then he got smashed around by Pat Cummins. And that was probably the momentum shifting from England to Australia side. So, I mean, there's a lot of ifs and buts, but at the end of the day, it was just a fascinating game of Test cricket. I loved it. My wife, who has no interest in cricket at all, was even a little bit intrigued and interested at what was going on. So, if this can pique someone like my wife's interest, then I'm all for it. Bring more of these games on. This series is going to be intense. But I give it 3-2 to England. If we're going to talk about who we predict this is going to be a winner for, it's going to be England. It's going to be 3-2. They have home advantage. They have great players. To be honest, this one went down to the wire. It could have gone anyway. So my money's still on England.
Yep. Looking forward to the next test, and then there's 4 more to go. So Lords is next, and then so I have my money on England. I just want BazBall to succeed. I want other teams to adopt this style of play. I want to see more results in test matches. I want to see test match cricket sort of find a new audience out there. So I think I want to see England.
Do you want to go ahead?
I want to see England, like you said, win 3-2.
Yeah, I think 3-2 is probably going to be what's going to happen. We might be proven wrong, as we have many times on this podcast, but every now and then we get one right, and I feel like we're not super off from the way this is going to end. It's just going to be a full result series, though. You believe that, right?
Yeah, just the way they're playing. I mean, Ben Stokes is not afraid to declare the innings. He's not afraid to speed up the run rate if needed. And so I think he's going to go for a result every single time where he has the opportunity. And that's what he has also mentioned in many of his post-match press conferences.
Yeah, I agree as well. Before we go, do you want to quickly talk about the Pakistan test squad for Sri Lanka? Any surprises you saw there? Amir Jamal?
Amir Jamal, man, this guy has so much potential. I think he could be a better all-rounder than Fahim Ashraf. He has a lot more pace. He's had just a great Zimbabwe A tour that he just did, taking lots of wickets. I need to see more of him with the bat. But a player that I'm most excited to see if he gets an opportunity is Mohammad Hurera. This is a guy who's come up the ranks from under 19 cricket. He's a nephew of Shoaib Malik, which is not that relevant because he scored lots of runs in the Qaid Azam Trophy, the first class tournament for Pakistan.
He's Shoaib Malik's nephew?
He is. He's from Sialkot, but he's a terrific player. He's literally he's one of the players to watch out for after, like we said, Haider Ali and Abdullah Shafiq. I think he's up there in the ranks of upcoming players alongside
Is he a batter?
Saim Ayub. He's a batsman. He's an opening batsman. Also could play at number 3. Scored 100 in the final of the Qaid Azam Trophy and averages over 55 in first class cricket. So definitely a player to watch out for. I'm not sure if he'll get an opportunity this series, but regardless, I'm excited to see this team going forward. Pakistan is sort of developing a good test match side. I like to see Abrar Ahmed in there. I'd like to see a young Abdullah Shafiq. Babar Azam's there. Rizwan is there. Sarfraz has been a terrific comeback last series. So just excited to see where these boys go, because we're now at the start of a fresh new cycle of the World Test Championship, and Pakistan has some challenging series coming up against Sri Lanka, and then after that against Australia at the end of the year.
I do think that Pakistan has sort of set their eyes on 2025's World Test Championship. That is something I feel like the priorities have sort of shifted there, and do actually think that they are a good competitor for that game, so they're going to go for it. And I would love to see that, man, because seeing Pakistan in the World Test Championship just means that Pakistan is just excelling in the most important form of the sport. The ODI World Cup is coming up. We're really excited about that. T20 World Cup next year as well. We're really excited about that. But it's all about test match cricket and how good you are there. The reason that Imran Khan is one of the greatest cricketers of all time is because he was just stupendous and exceptional in test cricket. So it really matters. And I like that Pakistan is taking it seriously. They have their sights set really strongly on what they want to do in the next couple of years to find themselves back in England at a neutral venue and go for it. Go for the mace.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to end this podcast. If you're listening
Yeah.
to us on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, comment. Let's have a discussion in the comment section. Always appreciate the engagement there. And if you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, any of the audio streaming platforms, make sure to rate the podcast. It really helps and push it forward. This is your co-host Bashar signing off, and with me on the other side signing off is
Nazar Sayed, man. Always a pleasure.
take care, guys, and cheers.
Cheers.